Oh, hey, good morning. I was just standing here reflecting back on what an incredible honeymoon we've had. I mean, all the amazing places we've been to, trying some of the best food imaginable, and just not having to think about work for like 4 or 5 weeks, just being able to take a step back. It's just been really peaceful.
There was a ban list.
Really? Out of all the times for them to drop a ban list, it's going to be on my honeymoon. There's going to be other ban lists. I want to enjoy my time, enjoy you, enjoy where we are. I can make the video later.
They didn't ban Mystic Mine.
Give me the camera. What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. Today we're bringing you my live reaction to the October 2022 ban list, and holy shit, 4.5 months have passed since we've gotten a new list. Honestly, I don't know why you guys care about my opinion. I only play progression series and history and a bunch of formats that are completely irrelevant, but for some reason you enjoy my live reactions, which is why we are here today. I decided to take a brief step away from my honeymoon to bring you this video because it's ban list season. Of course, we're gonna bring you the live reaction. We have the page up now. We can see here, I love that Konami did this, that we can now click the list, so that way it's a surprise, so in case there is anything at the top tier, that we're not going to just be immediately spoiled by that. Just to give you some initial impressions on what I think is going to be on the list, keep in mind I have not looked at it yet. I think that we're probably going to see Mystic Mine get banned. I think we're going to have either Sprite or Tearlament take indirect hits, because I think they're too new for you to like directly hit the archetypes, and Konami's still trying to sell them. We also have the Magnificent Maven box that comes out, I believe, next month, which is the Ishizu support for Tearlament. So I'd be really surprised if they hit those archetypes like directly. I still think those are probably going to be the best decks after this list, and anything else is just like a bonus at that point. I would like to see a lot of like the Oppressive Floodgates get banned, but let's be honest, that's probably never going to happen. So let's see where we're going to get on the list here, and we're going to click it open so we can see, and nothing immediately right off the bat. The list goes into effect October 3rd, so that's good because I know that there is I believe there's a 3v3 YCS in Ecuador or somewhere that is a few weeks after this list goes into effect. So at least now those players playing for that event are going to be able to account for that. Snow is our first hit. This card getting banned doesn't really surprise me too much. I think Snow is a card that a lot of people really enjoyed when it got banned the first time, and then it got unbanned for some reason, and then now we're quickly realizing why this card got banned again. I think this is perfectly fine. I think a lot of people are happy with this. Some people are probably upset with this. You know, I'm looking at you, Jesse Cotton, but, you know, for the most part, I think collectively the majority of people can agree that Snow is an incredibly powerful card, and happy to see it gone. That is for sure. Let's go ahead and scroll on down here. That one's, I'm not too surprised to see that hit, but, you know, it is what it is. Nothing else so far. Ronin Toten. Ronin Toten. Okay, you know, I was talking about indirect Sprite hits, right? But Ronin Toten was not the card that I was expecting to get hit. That's actually a pretty big hit because that neuters the frog engine quite significantly, although there are plenty of other like level/rank 2 engines that Sprite can play to sort of like compensate for this. So I don't think this is like a card that just completely neuters the deck. Like, obviously, like, look at the OCG ban list, right? And to be fair, Sprite's been around a lot longer for them. Like, they hit, like, Toad straight up banned, and they, like, limited a card like Sprite Starter, right? So, the OCG was a lot more brutal with the deck, but the deck was a lot more oppressive over there because it was, like, the best deck, you know, for a while, and then Ishizu Tearlament just pretty much took over Tier 0, essentially. So, this is a bad hit in terms of like Sprite players, but at the same time, I don't think it's like the end-all be-all for the deck. I think you're still able to play the deck quite fine because there's so many other level rank 2 engines that can sort of take the place of the frogs. It's just Ronin Toten, really? That's just such a strange hit. Whatever. I mean, you know, it's Konami at this point. I really should. Out of all the cards I think anyone was expecting to get hit on Sprite, I think that was probably the bottom, if it was even a consideration for anyone's list. That's just, I don't know. That's a weird one. Crystron Halki Fibrax, ladies and gentlemen, is gone. That is, thank thank you. I mean, this is a card that people have been crying out to get banned for quite some time. How many tuners have died at the feet of Crystron Halki Fibrax? That means that for the rest of this list, probably when we get to like the limitations or the unlimits, there's going to be like every card that has died for Hulk Sins either coming to 3 or at the very least to 1, because now that you can't just have all these cards go into a 1-card Hulk, they're still powerful, but without Hulk, they're not nearly as good as they were before. Man, that is an exceptionally strong hit. About time, right? It felt like this was like 3 ban lists ago they could have done this, but now we're finally seeing Hulk pay for its sins. Thank the Lord, no complaints there. Keep on moving down here. Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. Honestly, this seems like a bit of a late hit. I know Terra Elements does make this card, but to be fair, this sort of seems like a delayed hit when Chaos Ruler was like in its prime, when like every single deck that was being played was like a Chaos Ruler deck, right? But now, this card was just doing way too much, right? I mean, it was so easy to make. The fact that you have the ability to just mill 5 when the graveyard is essentially an extension of your hand already, just to generate you so much value, and the fact that you can revive itself, it just did way too much for a singular card. Again, it feels like a slightly delayed hit, even though it is still relevant by like modern Yu-Gi-Oh standards. I think Chaos Ruler was a card that if I were to have done a banlist prediction would probably have been on my ban picks, just because this card just did way too much for how good it was, and I think this is a justified hit. Some people are probably not happy about this because there's a lot of cool things that Chaos Ruler enabled. Really fantastic design for a card, but at the same time, a very pushed card at that, and that's why it ultimately ended up on the ban list. Not surprised to see this here, in all honesty. Not surprised at all. All right, still moving down. There's actually been quite a few bans. That's the 4th ban. Scrolling. Where's Mystic Mine? What? Konami. You gotta be shitting me. It should be right here between Mirage of Nightmare and Painful Choice. Where are the words Mystic Mine Forbidden? Okay. Actually, now that I think about it, okay, Max C's still here. Okay. All right, we're good. I'm going to wait to see if it's possibly limited or semi-limited at the very least before I say anything, but oh, that's infuriating. Red Reboot, by the way, didn't even see this. Banned. Yeah, Red Reboot is a pretty unfair card. It's funny because, like, the best decks don't really play, like, tons of back row, but at the same time, it's a nice option against when your opponent is, like, siding in floodgates, like, game 2 or 3, and so that way you have, like, another answer aside from, like, your Lightning Storms, your Cosmics, like, whatever back row removal you have. But Red Reboot at the same time is just, like, it's one of those cards that, even though it's an answer to the unfair cards, it itself is unfair, and so this is a card a lot of people have been clamoring for to get banned, but at the same time, we still have, like, all the floodgates legal, so I'm a bit mixed on my emotions about this. I think this is probably for the better, but at the same time, is that it? Yeah, okay, like, we don't see Anti-Spell here, we don't see, like, any of the just stupid floodgates on here, which, let's be honest, they were probably never going to get rid of anyway, but I guess this is a boon to any back row related decks that want to actually have a fighting chance. Not that, like, you know, stun is, you know, very fun to play against, but at least having one less just generically powerful out that can be used at will like this being gone, it's not bad. I mean, it's good for them at the very least, but I really wish they would have taken out the other cards as well with Reboot. But okay, so overall, like, fine. Like, the bans are, like, okay. Like, okay, again, I wasn't expecting anything for, like, Terra Element or Sprite directly, but I don't know. I still feel like Sprite and Terra Element are... I feel like Terra Element, like, has gone off almost, like, completely, like, scot-free aside from Snow, because, like, everything else is, like, fine. Like, you can still play that deck, no problem. And again, Ishizu support, I'm telling you, they were not going to hit that deck because they want to sell the Ishizu cards, and that is going to help them sell the Maven set like hotcakes. All right. Moving on to limited. A couple cards here. Blackwing seems to go... Cyberjar! Okay, Cyberjar's fine. I think, like, Cyberjar, out of all the cards on the ban list, any card that's like a flip effect monster on the ban list, for the most part, should probably be okay to come back, especially if it was printed in, like, 2002. Cyberjar, no one's gonna play it. It's very gimmicky. It's just, like... It's annoying to resolve, funny enough. I guess, if anything, that'll be fun to see if someone does flip a Cyberjar in 2022, 2023. But at the same time, I don't think anyone's going to play this. This card is way too slow, and no one would really want to play this card because the fact you give your opponent a +5, not exactly very good, and Cyberjar destroys, and a lot of things are either like immune to destruction or trigger in the graveyard, whatever. Steam the Cloak, I think Steam the Cloak, obviously this is off now because Hulk is banned. I think Steam is actually interesting because there are some things you could do with this card potentially in like relevant decks, just because the token generation. Is Steam the Cloak a level 2? I don't know if that is like applicable for Sprite or anything, but I think Steam the Cloak coming to 1 could actually see some play potentially. That's a card that, you know, it's not used for its Hulk purposes, but by itself, it's still a very powerful card. So, I mean, I could see it. That's fine. O-Lion, again, another card that died for Hulk Sins coming off the list. I feel like I'd have to like look at the typings on these to see if there's any reason to play like O-Lion versus like Steam. I think Steam might be more playable than O-Lion, but they both generate tokens, which again, if you're just trying to go for Hulk, that's all you cared about anyway. But I mean, these are all fine to come off. I mean, like fine in a vacuum, right? Especially when we're talking about Hulk. Substitute. Ronin Toten's banned now, and like if we're talking Frog FDK, right, that was like the big issue with Substitute, because you would just cycle through all your frogs, then Ronin Toten send them off Mass Driver. Yeah, this is probably fine. Like, what are you gonna do with Substitute? Like, okay, if Sprite is even playing frogs anymore, you can just cycle through them all, and like what are you doing with them essentially? Yeah, I think this is okay. I don't think there's an issue with that. With Ronin being banned, that should be okay, but it is also a very abusable card, so we'll see. I think that's fine, whatever. Moving on along. Okay, haven't had anything. Okay, Mystic Mine isn't limited either because it would be between Reborn and One Day of Peace. So if Mystic Mine's not banned and it's not limited, then the chances of it still being at 3 are extremely likely. Jeff Leonard is going to be sending me 10,000 messages once this is out. All right, Spellbook of Judgment and a Pointer the Red Lotus. The fuck? All right, well, Judgment I think is probably fine. A lot of people might like freak out at this, but I think the OCGs had Spellbook of Judgment for 2 or 3 ban lists now, and I don't really think it's done anything. There is like the potential that you could do some generic stuff because like Jowgen's a card, right? And you could play this sort of like stun deck to like lock your opponent out with that. But like, I feel like that's so 2014, 2013 that it's probably not good enough. I mean, the spellbook cards are very searchable and they could comprise of like a good engine in that regard, but I don't know. I don't feel like this did anything in the OCG from everything that I saw. So like this going to 1 is probably fine. If someone makes like a gimmicky deck with it, I don't really see it having like an extremely high win rate. But I wouldn't be surprised if people are jumping to TCG Play right now, trying to like buy out spellbook support just because of that. A Pointer though, I'm gonna quickly scroll down. That's it. So a Pointer is an interesting one. So a Pointer is being used typically as a way to stop your opponent from, after you setting up your turn 1 board, you can a Pointer out the board breaker or the key piece in their hand that's going to break their board so you can not lose on the crackback. I don't know how I feel about this. I understand a Pointer's powerful because it sort of like pays homage to like Confiscation and all the hand destruction cards, right? Where you get the hand knowledge as well, and even though it's a steeper cost than a card like Confiscation, it's still incredibly powerful because you're able to just turn off the card for a turn, which if it's like a Dark Ruler no more or any board breaker or any combo piece, then it might just win you the game, right? And so it's sort of like, it's just another card that is good for going first that helps you like not lose to all the board breakers. So it's another like, I mean, it's, you could like substitute this with other cards effectively that sort of do similar things, but a Pointer just does it the best because you get the hand knowledge as well. But It's weird though, right? We're gonna hit a card like a pointer, but we're not gonna hit the floodgates like Anti-Spell or like anything else like Rivalry, Gozen, etc. But we're gonna hit a pointer, right? Because they effectively like do similar things in different ways for if you're going first. I don't know. That's a strange one to me. I get it, but at the same time, I feel like there's a bit of a contradiction in the philosophy for why they're hitting a pointer. I feel like if you're gonna hit a pointer, you need to hit like 5 or 6 other cards that are effectively sort of doing like what this card is trying to do if you're going first. But that's just me. So limitations, there's a few of them. Most of them are just like cards that came back because of Hulk, and some of them are actually cards that were on the ban list that probably could have come back like a few lists ago, and you know, that's really it. Semi-limits, I just completely scrolled past. Everyone knows how much I hate the semi-limited list. Like, Mali could go to 3, Tenki could go to 3, Desires could go to 3, and these would probably not affect anything in the format whatsoever. So let's just get rid of the semi-limited list, although I am happy there's only 3 cards on here. We didn't add some. Like, I remember a few lists ago, we added like 8 cards to this, and now we're back down to 3. Let's go ahead and take a look at the unlimits. There's Dynamite Knight, which is going to do absolutely nothing. Ben 10, for all you Drytron players, have fun with that. Shooting Riser Dragon, I think that's probably fine considering all the other hits on this list. Fusion Destiny is now back at 3, which I guess is cool if you want to go back to playing like DPE again, but like, I don't know, like, I suppose. Nadir Servant's pretty cool because if you want to play another Mind deck, like Invoke Dogmatica, you now have 3 Servants, so that's good. Trickstar Light Stage, my Trickstar players rise up. We now have 3 of the best field spell in the game. And Wall of Revealing Light, a card that could have gone to 3 probably back in like 2012 and would have made no difference. Hope they unban last turn so Joseph and I can screw around with that. But overall, this is kind of depressing, if I'm being honest. I think I expected better, and like, I guess I always expect better, but like, here we are. I don't know, it's fine. I feel like this list is just like, it's to be expected, but I feel like there's so many better things they could have done. We have to stick with Mystic Mind. When is this list effective until, or is it going to be update after a few months? Okay, so that could be like February for all we know at this rate, since we know what that means now. We have to deal with Mystic Mind for another 4 months, potentially. We're going to have the Ishizu cards, which means that Ishizu Terra Elements is basically going to be tier 0 when that comes out, because Terra Elements are basically still the best deck, because I think Sprite probably took a bigger hit with Ronin Toten than Terra Element did with Snow, if I'm being honest. Mine's still at 3. A bunch of cards got unbanned that really did not matter, and yeah, it's just kind of frustrating that so many people are vocalizing that a card that is so unhealthy for the game that needs to get hit, and it just seems that the cries of the community went completely on deaf ears, and you know, we just have to suffer through it, unfortunately. There's not much we can do about it. Or we can just go and play Progression Series and other alternate formats. That would be the best solution. Konami, if you're watching this, please sanction Time Wizard formats, because I think a lot of people would prefer to play those right now than they would prefer to play modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But guys, that's gonna do it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this list. Do you love it? Do you hate it? I think a lot of you guys are not gonna like this list, if I'm being honest. This is not what we were looking forward to. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys when I get back.